Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So for this new episode, I want to talk about the concept of posting layer in Dynamics FNO. So very often in the finance area, people will talk about, okay, how I manage the fixed asset posting to different books. For example, the tax book and corporate book, and also how I handle the adjustment mainly for the consolidation purposes anything that I don't want to record on my corporate book, how we should handle those type of entries. So in this episode, I'm going to walk you through first the concept of posting layers, and secondly, show you an example how we should use and set up the posting layer, and together with the report demo to see the impact on the reporting side. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. So first part, what is posting layer? Now what you're seeing on screen is a trial balance. I want to use this as a demo. So basically you see we have this concept of posting layer integrated in this trial balance generation. And in this list, you're able to select the current layer, operations, tax layer, warehouse layer, and also all the custom layer 1 through 7, all available for your customization. And finally, we have this non-layer. So now I'm going to explain what are those layers. So first of all, think of layers like different books. Typically, you will follow one accounting standard, whether it is IFRS or US GAAP. And within this accounting standards, you will need to follow the instructions, how we should book transactions, and financially, how that should be reflected on your income statement and balance sheet. However, let's say I'm a multinational company and in my current country, let's say I'm in the US, that's more straightforward, but for my European entries, on top of the standard accounting entry, but I may have some other adjustment entries only for the company internal reporting purposes. And in that case, I don't want to mix the entries for accounting standard and also at the same time for my company internal. Just a single example, if I have a type of expense from accounting standard perspective that should be booked under other operations. However, for my company internal reporting purposes, considering all the subsidiaries and the company policy, I will need to book that as part of cost of goods sold. So if that's the case, if you just book that one single entry and you reproduce that report, you're going to have some conflict. That way, we'll need to maintain two different books, one for accounting standard, one for corporate internal book, maybe the other for tax book, etc. So that's when this posting layer comes into play. And Dynamics gives this opportunity to really have multiple layers, as many as you need. So typically, what we suggest is this current book is used for whatever your accounting standard is. Either this is IFRS or US GAAP. You use this current book to book all your typical accounting transactions. And then from operating perspective, let's say from the example I gave previously, if my parent company requires to book or reclass a certain type of entries under a specific section, then I can book that part of entries under this operation layers. That way, when you run a trial balance, you can easily select which layer you want to see, and then all those transactions tied to that layer will show up on the reporting. So this gives you visibility of different type of entries depending on accounting standards, and at the same time not messing up combining all entries in a single database. So this is the purpose of using posting layer. And now, what are those layers used for? So as I said, current is for your typical corporate book or accounting standards. Operations are more for your company internal policy or internal reporting requirements. This tax layer is mainly used for fixed asset or lease management if you have any tax related specific reporting, because when you run depreciation, you may have different depreciation calculated for your tax book or your corporate book, right? So in that case, you can use this tax layer. Dual warehouse, this is more for warehouse side. I'm going to skip this. And all those custom layers, in case you have other type of entry bookings or reporting requirements, you want to use a second floor or another additional book to track those transactions, you can continue to customize those layers. And down below this non-layer, typically this is also associated with fixed asset. in case you only want to have the subledger transactions being posted, but no impact on general ledger for asset group, just for reporting purposes or just for overview. You don't want to hit any of your general ledger. And in that case, we can choose this non-layer. But typically, these are the possibilities and how we should use those. And just one side note here, those layers is not possible to rename it from the functional perspective. So there's not a table from this configuration page where you can change or update the name. So if you do need to change and make it specific to that company, you will need to do some specific customizations. All right, so now we have covered the first part, what is posting layer and how we should use those. Now, I want to give you a quick demo on how we should book transactions and what that reporting will look like. So I'm going to take an example of this operation layers. So let's say now I have my parent company's policy, which requires me to class or reclass a certain group of entries mainly for inventory. So in that case, how I should book entries. Okay, so first step, we'll need to create a specific journal name and then tie that specific posting layer to that journal name. So what I mean is going back to journal name under general ledger. So that's one of the setup points. Okay, so I open this journal names. Now you can see I have a specific journal name called reclass, mainly for my parent company's reclass purposes. And what is most important is this posting layer. You can see this is available function associated to this journal names feature. So basically here you have the possibility to select for this journal name, it should be tied to operation layers, to tax layers, or other custom layers. So in my case, I'm going to pick this operations. So that means every time when I create a new journal entry under this journal name or journal type reclass, it's going to be tied or posted directly to my operation layers. So now let me give you an example. Going back to general journals, I will show you an example of posted entry. I'm going to flip to posted. Okay, so now you can see I have opened up this posted journal called reclass, and directly those are my booking ledger, main accounts, description, ledger, main accounts, description, and debit credit. So from here, all the journal entries are the same. Only when you start posting and when you check the voucher, you're going to see that those transactions are automatically posted to my operation layer. Okay, so now I have scrolled to the right. You can see this posting layer here. Every entry is being posted to this operations. Okay, now we have completed the transaction booking part. We can move on to show you how on reporting side, let's say from financial reporter tool, I want to filter out and only report on those transactions, how that entry can be queried through financial report. So now I have my financial reporter opened up. If you want to see a quick navigation, it's going to be under general ledger. And then moving to the right, you have this financial reports. Under financial reports, you can directly hit this edit. It's going to open up your FR designer. And basically that's the screen you're seeing. So I have opened up this role definition. And within the role definition, to query on a specific entry posted to this operation layer, you're going to use this role modifier as a filter. So I can double click here or open up this designer. And then under attribute, you can say for this specific line, I want to filter out by posting layer. You have all other options like document date, budget type, created by quantity, etc. But in our case, it's going to be the posting layer. And then from two, you can define, okay, which layer you want to pick up. In our case, this is operations, so I leave it from two. And then I can hit OK. And in that case, all those posting layers are applied to this specific line. And then you can also define, okay, this is the same main account, but using this posting layer. So that way, when you run reports, coming back to my dynamic screen, now I have generated this report, just open up for a review. This is just a simple layout. So you can see those numbers that I just booked show up correctly under this report through the posting layer. All right, so that's everything I want to cover today. Hopefully, this is helpful to give you an overview on the posting layer. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe down below. Thank you for your support. I'm going to see you in the next episode.